Hi, everyone. Nicole here, and it is my pleasure and honor to have an opportunity to interview for my good friend and fellow coach, Wes Legg, who has been teaching a brand new course called Yes, You Can. And I have personally taken this course and highly recommend it. But it's my pleasure to interview one of his other coaching clients who just went through this course. His name is Albert Lewis. So Albert, welcome to this interview, and thank you for your time today. I know because we just have so much energy talking to one another about this class and all the awesome things that have come out of it. So Al, just introduce yourself a little bit about what prompted you to take this class, and just what prompted you to take the class. We'll start there.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate that. So my name, well, you already know who I am. I actually have a background, a 30-year military background. I retired from the United States Air Force, and I have taken a lot of personal development courses. I've taken a lot of courses to help me in a lot of different ways. So when I saw Wes Legg offering a Yes You Can class, it was a no-brainer. I want to be a part of that. I want to get in on that class. Why? Because I know that every day we grow, we learn every day. The day that we stop learning is the day that we die. That could be physical death, it could be a mental death, okay? But every day we learn. And honestly, there are some things in this course, in this particular course, that help you grow mentally at a rate and a level that most people are not even aware of. So the personal development was really the magnet that drew me to this class, because I know that the level of my development is really going to just propel me to the level of success I want to get to. So I have to develop into that. And in Wes's class, Yes You Can, will make you feel like, hey, I can run through walls, or like you know, that other guy, man, you know, the guy who tell folks to walk on coals of fire. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, I don't have permission to say his name. He's a big time dude, but you know what? It's the same principle. It's the same principle. Your mind is a powerful, powerful tool, and we need to learn how to use it.
Amen. So you, now, for those of you watching this interview, you know, Al, myself, you know, we all come to the table when we're taking a certain course from a different place of development. If you're brand new and trying to learn how to navigate your thoughts, how to navigate, you know, what your limiting beliefs might be, and a leader or someone said to you, hey, you know, you could benefit from learning how to change the way you think, you know, you're practiced at it, Al. You know, I'm a little bit more practiced at it, but people who are brand new to personal development, it can seem overwhelming trying to absorb so much, especially when they're in the growth process of building a business, let's say, or they're changing careers, or they just want to advance in what they're doing now. You know, that can feel uncomfortable for a lot of reasons. And so let's dive into this class, because there are several weeks that can kind of touch on those that someone might have in the prospect of change. Let's talk about being self-aware, which was the first week of his course, and the emotional connection to that self-awareness. What was your experience and thoughts about those weeks and how it applies to someone going through that change?
This is very powerful. I'm going to tell you now. I don't know what the new person, what's holding them back or preventing them from getting to the place that they want to be. But there are experiences in our past that actually limit us and hold us back. Some things that we were taught when we were kids that actually will say, hey, look, go no further. For instance, a lot of people know about the elephant and how they trained elephants, and they would tether an elephant with a little piece of rope and tether them to a stake. And that little elephant, when it's a baby, it can't pull that rope out or the stake out, and it can only go so far. You know, and then as that elephant grow, it knows, well, these are my limits. I can't go any further than that. And even though this elephant is powerful to pull down, you know, buildings and such, a very powerful thing, now you have him tethered to a little piece of, you know, thing that he could just rip away. But in his mind,
Right.
Still chained. And it's like, I can't go any further. So those are some things that happened to us in our past, some things that we've been told in our past that we need to overcome. And what Wes's class do is say, hey, listen, you need to go back and evaluate the things that you were taught, reevaluate, think about these things, see if this is actually really your truth or not, or if this is something that you've just been, you've been living with thinking a lid is on your jar. Okay, now I'm talking to another analogy. There's a flea. A flea can really jump high, and you put the flea in the jar and they train him. They put a top on it, and the flea jump and keep hitting his head on that top up lid on the jar. Even though that flea can jump right out, the flea is now trained to only jump so high. And now you remove the lid, and you're only jumping so high, not jumping out of the jar, because the flea's brain is like, that's as high as I could go. But now, if the flea reevaluate, I'm gonna try and jump as high as I can. It'll be out the jar. So we don't want to live our life with a lid on our jar. And that's what Yes You Can actually help us do, is to be able to jump out of the jar.
Is that the best analogy? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I have not heard that one yet. But when we are, and I'll say we collectively, you and I, but in times in my life, and I'm sure in yours, and perhaps you can touch on this, a time in your life when you believed, for whatever reason, from being raised a certain way, or maybe in the service while you were there, and thank you for that.
Thank you as well, Nicole. Thank you for your service. I don't want to go without saying that too. Thank you.
So we have these experiences through time and opportunity where someone is going to show you where you're limited. And if you're willing to move past that limitation, is going to take a change. It's going to require change in your thinking. So if you wouldn't mind touching on that, living, Wes teaches in his class about, how the outside is how we're almost always programmed to think, is what's coming at you and how you respond, not starting from what's here and responding to the world. So tell me a little bit about your experience, whether it was in this class in general, but just the concept of living from the inside out, which is what Wes so beautifully does in his class.
Yes, I really like the way that Wes, and again, I don't want to give away the class.
I know, right?
It's powerful. So the material is great. So forgive me if it's just an analogy or a story or something, because again, if somebody's gonna pay for a class, I want them to get the full experience of that class.
That's right.
The bottom line is that we are the ones who control. Can you imagine if you had the ability and the power to control your own happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait a minute. What does that mean? That basically means, there's so many people today that are living in a state where they are depressed and living in a state of isolation and living in a state that caused them to go to a dark place. What if there was something within you that could help you get out of that? That's what Wes is saying. Hey, the outside world affecting you. No, you have the power to affect yourself, irregardless of what's happening in the outside world. And he has a great way of showing you how, even if you have these limiting thoughts, how you can actually, over time, change them through some behaviors. For instance, negative Nancy. If negative Nancy is out there and everything is negative in Nancy's world, there are some things that Nancy can do, simple things. Start a gratitude log, a journal. Okay, hey, you know what? I'm thankful that I'm breathing today. And that may even sound that way. I'm thankful. Thankful I woke up. But then after a period of time, the etching in the brain, he talked about some brain activity and how we get into habits and patterns of thinking and behaving and so forth, and how we can actually change those activities to where negative Nancy is no longer negative Nancy. She's Sunshine Sally now, because the world is this is a great place to live. I'm so glad. And it doesn't matter what's happening outside of her. Okay, the car, I just got a car bill for $2,000, but it's great to be alive. Whereas negative Nancy's ready to drive the car off the cliff. Okay. It doesn't matter. There's so many, I'll take too much time, but there's some folks who have been in positions where they were, where their liberty was taken, but they were still free.
Right.
Even their liberty, if you read some of these books and some of the folks who were going through some terrible times at the turn of the century, a couple of centuries ago, you read about these individuals. They were like, hey, look, I didn't have the liberty, but I had the freedom. And their captors could not break them.
That's right.
So anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to go. There's a military mindset. So let's go positive, okay? You can change those thinking. You can survive.
And that's what a course like this is going to walk you through. So those of you who are watching this interview and you're wondering, okay, well, I understand those things, but what are the practical ways that I can change that? And I don't want to give this away because Wes is such a great listener and coach that when you are a part of this group context, so you watch some videos of kind of classes online, and then if you wouldn't mind, I'll just touch a little bit on what it was like working with a group and how the interaction with Wes played out.
It was actually beautiful because in our group that we had, we actually saw the people in the group, each person in the group, have that aha moment and life-changing experiences. There were folks with tears in their eyes sharing their stories about how years ago they were affected and now they have freedom. Powerful stuff. And that's the whole thing with the Yes You Can, is breaking the limitations that you set in your own mind. And not only just breaking those limitations, it actually helps you to rewrite the programming in your mind. So now, hey, look, not only am I not, some folks, man, grow up and they're told you're worthless, you'll never be anything, and on and on and on. And that carries on into adulthood. And then they're like, well, why am I like this? Why do I always think somebody is thinking negative of me? Well, it's because of some negative experience or experiences in their past. Now they can break those habits or take the lid off of the cap and realize they're more, and they can actually write their own pattern, write their own truth. And now it's like, you know what? I do have value. I am of worth. So those are some things so everybody going through this as a group, you can see each person. This was my experience. And it's like, whoa, this is powerful. And guess what? I had an experience too. So this is it just legitimizes the science, because Wes bring a lot of science. I mean, you're talking about some big thinking brain power stuff. He bring a lot of science, but we actually see the science become reality throughout the course when you go through it with other people.
Yes. Oh, see, now my spirit's jumping around. Okay. So I love, if you can just touch a little bit more on Wes as a coach himself, what you appreciated about working with him directly, and would you recommend his course and Wes as a coach for other folks?
Oh, yes. I recommend Wes as a coach, definitely. He is well learned, okay? Now, Wes will say, hey, listen, I'm no big deal. I'm no this. No, Wes is a researcher. This dude, he is, what he says, he has some backing to it. He'll show you and he'll tell you, oh, yeah, this doctor from this book reading this and this scientific study and on and on and on. But it's not. Okay, for the person who is not the scientific mind, that would be me. I'm not the science guy. I don't like to sit down and, some folks say nerd out. That's not me. I'm the guy I need to be. Yeah, that's you, Nicole. That's not me. Okay, I'm the energy guy. I want to be, hey, let's get in, let's do this thing. And we had that. And I was satisfied. It's like each personality type, each personality trait, Wes understand, and he catered that course, and everybody in the class will feel like, wow, this was made for me. So he is very learned, very skilled, and he's sincere. That's one thing that Wes is sincere. There's some people out there, it's like, dude, if I was an Eskimo you would try to sell me some ice. I don't need ice. Oh, I got all kind of ice, but you're going to try to sell me ice. Wes is not that guy.
Right.
Okay. He is sincere, and he really, truly, his whole passion, his thought is to help individuals overcome the struggles in life that are holding them down, and let them know, yes, you can do that. You can be that. You can. So I love it. Yeah, I highly recommend this course.
Oh my gosh, I'm just going to go ahead and end the interview with that amazing, amazing testimony. Thank you so much, Al, for your feedback, your time, and for the recommendation for Wes's class. I look forward to working with you in any class in the future. Thank you so much, hon. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.